On December 2nd, 2000, the Smashing Pumpkins played their final show in their hometown of Chicago, Illinois. For 4.5 hours, an intimate crowd watched the apparent conclusion of an epic 14-year journey played out in lives, loves, drama, and song. After 6.5 years of dormancy, they would return to the stage on May 22nd, 2007 in Paris, France. With much speculation as to when they would return to America, they curiously announced they would perform 9 shows at a little-known club in Asheville, North Carolina, and 11 shows at the historic Fillmore Auditorium in San Francisco, California. Tickets sold out immediately. What those who bought the tickets didn't know was what to expect.
I'm obsessed with the concept that just as I'm about to get out of hell, I always seem to find a way back in. And there is a bit of that feeling about getting back into the band that I'm sort of re-signing on to the Army for a set of experiences that I know I don't want.
I don't know if he really picked Asheville or if Asheville picked him, because he's about chance. But I remember driving down that road. It was dark and we were tired and we had had such a whirlwind of a trip in Europe. When you got there, you just got a big Southern welcome.
I was really fascinated that you had this hippie community connected to what was once the great Biltmore Estate, one of the great mansions in the world, and certainly the greatest mansion in America. We were staying on the Biltmore Estate itself. Every day we would take this drive to go to rehearsal or to go to the gig. We'd drive through the beautiful grounds of the estate, and every day I would sort of marvel at the way Olmsted had massaged the earth.
The Orange Peel here is a very special venue. It's known for people that aren't really mainstream, but famous people nonetheless. It's a lot of independent bands come here, but a lot of the really big mainstream bands don't come here because the capacity is so small.
Translucent. We've never had anybody at the Peel do as long of a residency as they did. They played 9 nights.
By Billy coming here, it has really brought a lot of national attention to the Orange Peel and to Asheville.
The main idea of doing the band again is to do it art for art's sake, and I think that's where the residencies come in. I think there's no better way than putting it out, putting it on the table that you're going to be in a certain place for a certain amount of time in order to evolve as an artist, and inviting people to observe that.
And I hear my How's everybody doing? You all right? Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to be your band for the apocalypse. Yeah, you know, I was here for about 1 minute yesterday and some guy offered me some weed. I said, "No, brother, I don't smoke." He said, "Brother, Asheville's built on a crystal, man. You just..." As some of you know, one of the purposes that we wanted to do these shows was to take the opportunity to write some new songs. So I wrote a song this morning I'd like to play for you, if you'll indulge me again. Question Mark as a song is sort of like an open letter to the Asheville community. Sort of like my way of saying, okay, here we are in town and what are we doing here? Because I wasn't even sure. What is the question posed? Where is this violence I sense creeping? What is your secret code? I wanna know.
But when we got to Asheville, it was kind of like being in just a surreal world. Everyone was so kind, and I found him in the middle of the square, just sitting by himself. So we sat on the street and just watched the people come by. And as they would come by, they would talk to him and he would hand out tickets.
It's a song I sing. A pole in the town, smoke rings around the square. I tarry the ground, feathers and flames shall explode. But now we're getting close to an answer to my questions, to my small notions of Rome.
Yum. Yum. I don't know what you saw in that moment, but
That's the Korean squat right there.
That's totally Korean squat.
and that's actually the best way to sit. That's the way you're supposed to sit. That's the proper way that you don't stress your spine. And that's also the proper way you're supposed to go to the bathroom. Holy God, no. That's not me, is it?
We have this for you.
Come on up.
Jeff, I told you it was gonna get weird, man.
Oh my God. Hey. Oh, can I set this down?
Sure.
Okay, it's really heavy. Can I get a hug?
Sure, yeah. Gentle.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
How are you doing?
Good.
I am so proud of you guys getting back together.
Oh, thanks.
And
There's more important things, but I appreciate that.
no,
It's a good thing.
It's like when my friend died, you know, and I found his body a couple months ago.
Just this whole year has been really crazy.
All I could think was like, thank God they're getting back together. You know what I mean?
I understand.
And it was
Gave you something at least.
it gave me something to hold on to.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that like pulled me through everything.
Well, better that than nothing.
I
mean, of course, it's not as beautiful as you are, but I mean, come on.
Look at the side.
That's pretty good. The side's pretty
The
good.
side is my
Look at your
favorite.
beautiful cheekbones. See?
So we're all right in there now? Here, I gotta go work.
Oh,
See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Billy.
Just-
When you
yeah.
do meet your hero and they take a little time with you,
It makes
it
you
makes you
special.
feel validated.
My therapist once told me that people who are very abused, especially at a young age, never learn about the concept of boundaries because you don't learn those cues as a child to scream or cry. It takes you a much longer time to understand when people are in your space.
Mama, you're on mine. A stitch inside my coat. I lay on the words, grand design. I think you know. I think you're sure that you're sure, but butterflies don't get old, and I don't get so young anymore. Such a shame. And big ideas and lost ideas is a show. I'm a sing in control.
The image in my mind when I wrote Mama was kind of thinking about Nazi Germany and what it would have been like to try to have a romantic evening in with the missus while they were burning books outside.
Mama, they're showing up, they're burning books outside. What was it that you said?
I see this song as sort of this constant yearning I have for simpler times, but it's contrasted with the idea of this ominous threat just outside the door. That seems to be a recurring theme with me, not able to keep out, away from me, what I don't want near me.
Behind the mask, my ears to the ground and my fingers on the pulse of the pain. But what's was then changed.
Let's go over there. Do we look like Americans, Gio?
Hello. Hi. How y'all doing?
Good. We're just checking out what you guys are doing over here.
Yes, sir. Well, welcome. I'm Pastor McLaren.
Hi, Pastor. Billy Perkins.
Billy, nice to meet you.
We're with the band across the street. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I heard y'all been having some great crowds.
It's gone great, yeah.
What's the name of the band again?
Smashing Pumpkins, yeah.
Okay. Well, would you mind me asking you how you stand as far as your religious beliefs? Or
I was raised a Christian, but I have not found the church structure to be something that I feel comfortable in.
I understand
So
that.
it's a personal relationship.
Your past influence your writing?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Our generation, Generation X in the 90s, was really the first generation to publicly musically tackle child abuse.
Yeah.
When Billy started talking about having been abused, he was one of the first rock stars to come out and talk about it, and a magazine accused him of doing that to sell records. It was such a cruel, unbelievable twisting. I think what Billy always does is he creates the archetype and then he breaks it because the archetype is always changing, and he reserves the right to always change and grow and not be held. Zero, right? Can't capture zero. He was the archetype of the big, powerful rock star that everybody wanted to own in some way, fuck, possess. And he's talking about being a child.
I used to be a little boy, so in my shoes, when I chose.
Whether it started at a young age of feeling that, I wasn't safe anywhere, to a public life where I feel constantly assailed and assaulted and misunderstood. It's this idea of trying to just get that space, just enough space that you can create. What strikes me about the songs that I wrote in Asheville particularly is I think I found that space.
All righty, God bless you.
Yeah, buddy, you take folks.
There's a funny line in the song where I sing, "The band won't play your favorite tune," which is a direct allusion to people being disappointed as they've seen the kind of sets that we're playing, that we're not playing God knows what off of God knows what album. The tension exists because you have an audience saying, oh, it's the first time I've seen you in 7 or 10 or 12 years, and I really want to see you play this song.
I want to hear Zero, 33.
Everlasting Gaze.
Airplane flies high.
Martha. Drown.
Mayonnaise.
Bleeding New Yorker.
1979.
And then today,
Stars.
Daydream.
Well, something's got to give. I've got to make room somewhere. We're playing 3-hour shows almost every night.
People kind of go, not just that's me, but that this Pumpkin song that is where I am. This is one of the places that I can feel that I'm complete. Whip Pan 10 years ahead, they don't need that machinery anymore, but they still value it. They don't want the Smashing Pumpkins to be anything else other than they were. and they don't care about the artistic needs of the musicians. You know, and we're dreadfully hurt by it as artists when our fans say, you know, we just don't want you to change, we don't want you to do anything new, we just want you to... Because they can find somebody else to deal with their troubles of the moment. And it's very, very difficult as an artist to handle that.
And if all else fails, and your veils won't quit, and your words grow stale, and the dog won't sit, and the walls won't fit outside anymore, and the walls won't fit outside anymore, when the walls won't fit outside anymore, will your aim hold true? Will you push for more?
Why don't you want to play songs like Selma?
Why do you ask? Here, I'll play for you now. The reason I don't want to play it right now is because that song and the other song, Mayonnaise, are very identified with James. In Mayonnaise, he wrote the chord structures essentially, but it's really only 2 parts. In Soma, he wrote the chord structure for only the beginning. So he gets a lot of credit for these fantastic songs because his name's on the credit, but I wrote the songs.
Whether or not they wrote the material or actually played on it in the studio, their image, I think, was a big part of what people connected to.
People should be reminded of James and Darcy because they were part of the original band and they were critical to the emotional and shadowy part of the band.
If we always keep comparing everything to the past, then, I mean, that doesn't really make any room for the future. It's got to be hard, not being able to get rid of this weight of the expectations of the public.
Like everyone assumed that this incarnation of the band was going to suck. People are really shocked that me and Jimmy are able to get it fucking together. You know, we were doing all this work and no one knew we were doing this work, and the reason we didn't tell anybody is we were trying to protect our bandmates. And then when it came out, it made me look like a fucking asshole because I was supposedly insensitive or tyrannical or cruel when all I was trying to do was just make our band work.
To me, it's amusing to see people saying they miss James and Darcy because, from my experience in doing the story back in 1993, the question came up, and it's a very basic question: what do you contribute?
I remember when this article came out. They flew him out, and it was the whole, like, coming to Billy's house, and everybody met him and spent time, and I know that he said the band doesn't do the work, Billy does the work. Putting it in a nutshell.
I've read people write things that's like, you know, oh, those are 2 of the best songs they ever had because of James. You know? No, it's because it was the combination of me and James, you know? But it just makes me mad, you know? It's like, fuck, you know? What else I gotta fucking do?
Did you offer for Darcy and James to be part of the...
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
Well, just whatever.
When my favorite old bands get back together, I want to see the bands too.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's natural. But you got to understand, it's like, at the end of the day, it don't matter who's on that stage. If that wasn't good, you guys would be shitting all over me, right?
Yeah.
And you know it.
Who wouldn't be waiting out here?
Okay?
Who wouldn't be waiting?
That right now, that
You
is
can
the
do no
Smashing
wrong.
Pumpkins, because that's the band that can play the fucking music with passion and power.
I'm glad we're able to have this fresh start now because people are very excited about it. I think there's a lot more expectation.
There's a lot of mixed feelings. Like, I'll say myself, as much as the next person was just ecstatic beyond all belief to hear that the Pumpkins were getting back together, to learn that the James and Darcy weren't going to be a part of it. It was too bad, but it's really not about the nostalgia aspect. No, it's not 1995 anymore. I think the new people, Jeff and Ginger and Lisa, all really hold their weight well.
Like the new band members, I was curious to see what would happen to them joining a band with Billy because he expects so much. I'm so impressed. They learned so many songs in such a short period of time. He writes a set list before the show. So there's no like sitting backstage going, oh, do I still remember this? So, you know, he'll write it before the show on inspiration. So I think it's amazing that they've risen to this level because it's really difficult.
I was a jazz piano major at USC. I had no idea what I was in for. I sent a recording of a song that I did at my senior recital, this jazz tune. So then I got a call from Jimmy. The next day, I auditioned with the band, and it was a really fun audition. I didn't really expect anything to come out of it, but I just thought it would be a fun exercise to see if I could play in a rock band. I think maybe a week and a half later or something like that, I was in Chicago for rehearsals, so I was totally freaked out. Knew nothing about rock. I mean, I'm just barely learning now. And I'm studying. Every time I hear the name of a band, I don't know, like Mountain. They were talking about Mountain in rehearsal the other day, and I thought, what the hell is Mountain?
It's interesting to watch somebody who's never had a Pink Floyd record when you ask them to play a B3 solo in some type of space jam that you're doing. It's amazing to see what they pull out of their heart. To Lisa's credit, I think she's finding soul reward in what she's doing. There's a real charm in her lack of knowledge of rock music, and it has a bit of a kinship with my experience when I first joined the Pumpkins. The Pumpkins were a semi-gothic alternative band with a drum machine, and I mean, I knew nothing about REM or The Cure or Bauhaus, or I mean, I had none of those records. I had no interest in any of those bands. I mean, I was listening to progressive jazz, big band. My father was a clarinet player. I mean, I was into musicianship as opposed to songwriting when I joined this band, and my relationship with Billy at that point instantly opened my eyes to the beauty of songwriting and how drumming performed properly could really inject that type of jazz emotion into a rock environment.
An apple for Ginger's purity. Okay, I'm gonna balance the apple on our network helmet here. Ginger's gonna try out for the local station at TVN.
I was in the Smashing Pumpkins, and they tried to get me to play devil's bass lines, but I wouldn't do it. I said no.
You know, they're not just simple pop songs, so.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Right now with the residencies, we are rehearsing for about 4 hours during the day, and then we have a couple hours where we go back to our hotel or do whatever we need to do. And then we are at the venue from about 8 until about 2. We have a 3-hour show usually. So we're playing, 7, 8 hours a day. It's really tiring, but I know that this is a really important time to just really get us all on the same page.
I feel very privileged to play with two musicians that are just world class. I mean, phenomenal. Just as a musician, it's not something you get to do every day.
Well, first I just played with Jimmy. It would just be me and Jimmy and different bass players, and so that went pretty well the first couple of times. But then the very first time Billy came, it was completely a disaster. I think Billy turned it up a couple of notches, and the level of musicianship was so high, and I think he was just seeing how much I could handle, and it wasn't very much that day. But they actually ended up giving me another chance. But it was kind of scary at first. Like, there was a while there where I didn't think they were ever going to call me back.
So just to be able to play with them and learn from them, and having them allow me to kind of enter into their world, into their musical space. It's just a musician's dream.
I really want the Asheville experience to be an ideal where it can really be this utopian concept of just getting together and playing, and let's just forget all the pretense of what a big band is supposed to be. Please look good, please be great, please don't do silly things. Let us project on you what we need to project on you. There's a sense of feeling like you've got to put the clown suit back on.
Lord, my heart's not plain. Lord, my eyes.
No Bibles, huh?
You know, I'm not that picky. I'm okay with everything not always being great and perfect, and even this experience of being at the residencies, it doesn't have to be this continual high point.
Uh-huh.
You know, sometimes the mundane is just as important as the special. And there's this immense pressure that everything's just got to be great all the time. It's like one big ABBA concert all the time.
I heard a couple of the songs. They're cool. They're good. You can kind of tell that they were written the same day. They don't sound developed at all. I mean, it usually takes a while for a song to get developed. I mean, months, maybe a year, maybe two.
We live in a very results-oriented society. This culture, particularly the American culture of the 2000s, is only obsessed with the absolute cream of the crop peak experience moment. It's like we're all just stuck on orgasm.
We live in a time where even our supposed alternative rockers, whatever the hell that means or whatever it ever meant, are basically very professional careerists who deliver the hits in concert. Delivering the hits is not enough for him.
It's really weird to me that people really don't, generally speaking, don't want to hear the work around the great work. I understand the obsession and the attraction to the peak work because I feel the same thing. But when I find the peak work, no matter who it is, whether it's Matisse or Bach or whatever, I want to find out the work around it. I want to hear the process and the journey to the peak work. But this culture seems to be only obsessed with the peak work, and everything else is discardable, which is why people are still touring on one song.
I probably wouldn't be doing that if the camera wasn't here. That's me physically showing my frustration. Just internalize it.
You know, there's the harmonica thing, you know, where like Bob Dylan. Yeah. I need to get one of those with a G major harmonica.
We came out with the Bob Dylan thing, the harmonica, and I'm like, what the hell? He's lost his mind. He can't play harmonica.
No, it's not gonna work. Fuck.
Do you need a C harmonica for that? You need I don't know. You need a chromatic harmonica.
Yeah.
I can't fucking play.
It's pretty amazing that he's only been here for a few days or whatever, and the new music, a couple of songs just from being here. I guess it's been inspiring for him as well.
I wrote this song to sort of try to capture the energy that I felt coming off the street.
Where's the one? Start the captain. Time out. 1 on.
I used to watch my father go to work every day and never miss a day. He worked at the railroad for 40 years. I used to think he was nuts. 40 years. I mean, he started off shoveling coal on a steam engine and ended up being a train master, which is no mean feat for somebody with no college education. Life's a journey, and you throw yourself into it, and the more you can throw yourself into it, the more everything else makes sense. It's not about where I'm going to be tomorrow. It's not about what I did in the past. It's about what I can do to produce something good today.
Kill house, roll tape. Kill house, roll tape.
I wanted to say one more thing before I left Asheville, which is I'm leaving, and I'm sort of honoring the moment that this period of time has actually worked. It's been a positive experience.
Even the stuff that was written here started to sound real good. I was a little pessimistic yesterday.
No, you're still.
No, man. It was good. It was real good.
There's an innocence that's always present within the core of our cynicism, and I'm just trying to sort of connect with that and say goodbye in a humble way.
Last laments, will you make such pretty violins for me? And though my Indonesian indecision might flee, I'll count the lightning bugs in trampled dust, though I fear I'll never leave here.
I always get this sort of panic attack when I have to go back on tour, or even when the tour is coming to an end. There's something about the inevitability of change that always stresses me out. There's always this sense of breaking and leaving and reconnecting. And that's a real common theme in my life.
You won't wait on me. And if my Byzantine romantic genes grow dear,
think it's a big statement to choose a city to play 12 concerts in a historic venue. It's really a nod to the city's history.
Well, it started off as 8 shows here at the Fillmore, and shortly after the tickets went on sale, they sold out completely, and then they added 3 more shows.
I'm excited to play the Fillmore tonight. I think there's pretty good excitement, lots of history, so it should be really fun.
And it was closed down for a while, and actually the Smashing Pumpkins did the reopening back in, I think, like '94. They were the first band to play here in several years.
I was with the band at the time, and I was doing monitors for the band. And it was this big, joyous event. You know, the psychedelic poster was made, and you know, it was the reopening of the Fillmore. It was history. About midway through the show, you know, I hear somebody scream, "Look out!" And I look up, and the monitors, the giant side poles, are just falling on. They're going to crush me, and this is the history of this band, right? It's the big, joyous, you know, after the earthquake, you know, they put the place back together. Smashing Pumpkins opened the doors, and it's sold out in a second. And the band's playing, and the club starts to disintegrate.
Good evening, folks. Welcome to the Fillmore.
I feel like we're getting treated to a very historic thing by having these really long, sort of open rehearsal type shows.
These would not be intimate shows with the Pumpkins at a high ticket price.
They're being fan friendly and respecting what music was in the past.
I think that's why people showed up so early today to start lining up all day, waiting outside. This doesn't happen every day. This isn't normal.
Got 5 minutes.
It's different. I mean, we've gone through punk rock and grunge and all these different genres, but Fillmore's still happening, and the kids are still coming out, and that's rock and roll.
Let's do it. Go.
Very much. Thank you.
Fucking nightmare. It's like everybody's playing to a stereo.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Gossamer then?
Go for it.
this is not the most crowd-pleasing set that they're doing.
They've been playing Gossamer, which is a 30-minute song.
Right now the song is clocking in about 34 minutes.
They're doing really long, like, alternate versions of songs that you might not even know the original versions of.
I don't think people really knew how to react. I don't think people are as responsive visually as they were. It must be really estranged from.
It was pretty sad when people walked out at the Fillmore during it. I thought it was really, really powerful and gripping. I thought everybody was really just taken by it.
Thank you.
That's so good. Those are mine. Fell off my fucking thing. There's a big silver bird jumped down. It's like
3 hours of fucking quiet misery.
best part is we're losing them as we're going. Like people are.
Oh man, people are just tanking. About 2:45, they just had it.
Call the show. It'll mean more if we call it now.
You want to call it?
Yes, call it.
House lights go, house lights go, house lights go.
It's the one
It would be so easy for some people to be swayed by decimal points, the big money that could come along with making certain decisions, but he really tends to stay true to doing the right thing, you know, and the residencies were case in point. You know, it was an endeavor that actually, you know, lost money.
It's a tough gig, and not many of us can do it. We have to have critics who don't understand this point us and say, "You big-headed, pretentious fool, who do you think you are? I've got a degree in blah, blah, blah. You know, I know what you should be doing." You know, they don't. They can't do what we do.
Great. We got Slam too? Really?
And I think the thing is when playing the long show, really playing to the crowd, not to the viewers. Because the viewers aren't here to see the fucking show.
Right.
If they gotta stay here for 3.5 fucking hours, automatically that's already 25% against you.
Right.
Because they probably don't like the band to begin with.
Right.
So then they're being forced to stay at an extra long show. They feel like they're fucking working. So it's like we're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, but you know the thing is it's like it's the hit you have to take with this, trying to make this work, because once we get out of this environment, we have to go back to like.
Well, that's just it. That's what I said. If you're going to do this, you're going to have to be prepared to take those hits.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
No.
I don't know what really draws me to them anymore besides my nostalgia. So here I am trying to relive my teenage years.
Okay? I'm from the Bay. I like trunk juice, nigga. What? What? Come on! We go.
Bunch of angry hippies, man.
Never spent enough time in San Francisco to really notice it until now.
It's like a bunch of angry, homeless, hippie, having a dream.
peace and love out there. When you're stuck out there, standing on your road, trying to catch your wave, even though I will, even if I won't, even when I signaled I would get back home.
this is a sort of form of protest song where I'm sort of singing directly to the community in San Francisco that, you know, this community is supposedly built on the idea of peace and love, and I don't see much peace and I don't see much love anywhere.
There's a crowd outside, calling for our lives. Peace and love we're here, living in an old school bus. Ask me where I've been, I say I have to go. Is it part of me that strikes you all so cold? Ask me for this night, I bet you won't go back. Find a way to want it, pay you all right back. Find a way to pay you all so right back.
And that sort of cynicism really starts to creep in, and it really affects your ability to think clearly. And so listening to the lyrics of the song, I'm really not thinking clearly, because, you know, I'm singing about the Golden Gate Bridge, and instead of singing about what a beautiful structure this is, or, you know, looking out into the water and the birds and the sunshine rippling off the water, I'm talking about how I fucking hate going over the Golden Gate Bridge because it's a symbol of my own doom ahead.
I think one of the critics at the Chronicle is a bit jaded around, oh, you know, Billy just wants his band back and he's going to try to make some money. But everything else I've seen written is contrary to that, and what I saw is contrary to that. I mean, they're very much acting as and talking as if this is what we want to do, and they wouldn't have the brand new band learning 60 songs for a, you know, residency if they weren't legit about it.
Maybe it's time to not play the hit show. Well, like 1979 and tonight's night, I think we're all top 20 mainstream singles. That was the crazy year. We were played on the radio 286,000 times in 1 year. That's just insane if you think about it. I think there's a time in every generation when the generation just moves on. You know, there was a time when people were screaming their heads off for Frankie Avalon and those teen groups in the 50s. And now they go see him at the fucking, you know, the Star Auditorium or whatever. It's just to relive the memory. It's not to be in any kind of current energy. We don't stop growing and we don't stop living, so why wouldn't we want to continue to have this experience with the artists that we admire? Why wouldn't we want to continue to hear what they have to say, because they're from our same place? It's such a weird thing to sort of just move and say, well, it's not relevant anymore, I'm not, you know, it's not for me anymore or something. I still think it's up to artists to come up with good work, but I still think it's weird that we like have no, I mean, I've never been more interested in what like Neil Young has to say now than I did when I was a kid. Because now that I have faith in him over like 25 years of my life, I mean, I look at what he's saying as a 6-year-old guy going, wow, I'm going to end up there. All right. I'm parked out, as my father would say. I'm just, energy-wise, you think so, yeah. San Fran, just like... Oh, the town. Yeah, it's always been like that. We just don't fit in. Right? We don't fit in. We don't fit in? We don't.
Young blood, refuse them all, you'll take. Give them filigree, just give them something cheap. Dead low, I'm dead low, I cannot seem to hurt. From the first week, I paid all the first thirst I ever had. And if you're cool with the loss and unsure of the cause, then save the wild twigs. It's down to us. This life grotesque is down to us. I can't protect you.
I remember my room was next to his, and we had a perfect view of Alcatraz. And even that, for me, was so overwhelming. Being Native American and knowing that some of the first inmates were Hopi, because my grandfather was taken from his family and put in a Fedoroff Indian school as a child, where they stripped them of their culture. Well, these Hopis decided that they were going to not put their children in the school, and they were the first inmates at Alcatraz, and that was overwhelming for me. I could feel those spirits, and I could feel the spirits of all the people who had been put there on the island. It wasn't like walking into Asheville. You were in the big city now, and I think you felt that too.
As an artist, it's not my job to make you comfortable. It's my job to make you something. But I mean, as far as being comfortable, I mean, what's comfortable about art? It's not supposed to be comfortable.
Super Christ is just the old Smashing Pumpkins response to, okay, if you're not going to listen, we're going to make you listen.
Evolution is illusion, right? One solution, one can take you beyond this love. Am I in time?
The whole question of authenticity, right? Like, you know, coming back, it was going to be like, well, should this be called the Smashing Pumpkins? What are the Smashing Pumpkins? Who were the Smashing Pumpkins? Who defined the Smashing Pumpkins? So it's just a way of making fun of the whole question of authenticity. So are we poking fun? Of course we're poking fun, but we're also having a good time.
You're playing.
Yeah, it's the whole point.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I could have gone into complete unhappiness, and I just refused. I stayed on this is really funny. Just so classic. It's like, you know, you're here and the people and the cameras and the thing, and then this is like, what's wrong now?
Nothing.
What's wrong with you?
Nothing's wrong with me.
What are you mad about?
I'm not mad at anything.
Why are you making a face at me?
I wasn't. I was just looking at you.
Sure look like a flint. You're pissing me off, Corgan face. Let's listen to some music and break the tension.
Doing the best I can. I'm doing the best I can. So please stop. I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing the best I can. So please stop.
What? Find your phone?
No, can you call it?
Oh, yeah.
Just having the worst. As much as he was mean to me, we were really good friends. You know, he would call me mommy and say things like, you know, you'd have to watch over me because my mother never did. I was only scheduled to work with them for 3 months till the album was recorded, but we all got along so well, and they really wanted to take me traveling.
I'm doing the best I can. So fuck off.
I'm so glad I got to see a part of rock history.
My head is full of knots.
I was packing my bags to go on tour, and a friend of mine came over, and she was helping me with something, and she did it very poorly, and I was like, oh, you know, I should have just done that. And she said, well, I'm doing the best I can. And so I thought it was really funny. To mock her, I started playing the song, I'm doing the best I can. I just kept singing it over. And so the song was born out of sort of a joke, but suddenly within the context of San Francisco, I saw it as a complete statement of the way that I was feeling, which was back the fuck off me.
There's one way back down, please just understand. You know I'm here to rock. My head is full of rocks. Just show me who I'm not. I lost your heart with my other side. Doing the best I can, so please stop. Doing the best I can, so fuck off.
My very first time on stage when I was 18 was at the very last Smashing Pumpkins show with James Iha. Billy introduced me as Linda Strawberry from Romania, and I went on stage. I was terrified. And so going on stage was kind of the same vibe because I'd been in my house sick, and Billy asked me to come and sing the song again. So standing on the stage, it was such deja vu.
Well, when I was 12, I got a brain tumor. I had 2 surgeries and radiation. Before I came here, Emily was at Billy's solo show, and she told him about me, and she asked if he could sign a card for me, and he did.
Can I show you the picture that I drew, waiting in line? Yeah, this is the product of getting up at 5 in the morning and buying some Crayola markers and paper and just trying to pass the time. We've been here for like 12 hours now.
Yeah. Looks completely different though than we were here.
Right?
Looks like a different room because the stage was so different.
I think if you pick out all the songs together that we can play or I can play, it's like something like 55 songs.
Wow.
Crazy. Everyone's just fried. We've been working like maniacs. But everyone's head's so full of fucking changes.
I can imagine.
I mean, it's a super rock show. We're fucking going. Hope it sounds good. Roll the dice. What's it gonna be tonight? Super bass trap or no treble? I changed my earplugs about 6 times last night. Each one sounded different.
This is brutal, man. So brutal.
It's an epic show. It could be the greatest show we ever played.
We have that moment where you just learn so much information in this very short time. You're just like,
yeah.
You know, like,
No, I'm at the point.
Kill the house lights, here we go, kill the house lights.
I'd like to bring a friend out to the stage, Miss Linda Strawberry.
Twilight fades, we're blessed and Avalon. The sky's cruel torch, an aching powder bone into the uncertain divine. We scream into the that's divine. You make me real. You make me real. Strong as I feel.
I think it's been much more difficult here. I think, to be honest, it's been much more difficult to kind of get into a groove here. Where in Asheville, immediately we just felt a lot of good vibes and just immediately started creating. Within a few days, had like 4 or 5 new songs that we were playing in the set. I think there's just a lot more pressure here.
Because it's time to arrive.
Last night, some technical difficulties with equipment, which happens.
Yep, we're having an amp meltdown. There you go. Jimmy, would you like to tell a story? Jimmy doesn't want to tell a story. Jimmy's married now with children. All his stories are X-rated. Well, it's all gone horribly wrong. Our amp is blown up. Yes. No rock power. I can't have my bad attitude, right? You gotta have the rock power to have the attitude, you know what I'm saying? It's like, It broke. It done broke. Just break it. Just. It's the black plumpkin cloud coming over you. Well, in the old days, I would actually hand the mic into the audience and let people ask questions, but that's way too dangerous. We didn't live in a YouTube world back then. I go back to playing some sad solo acoustic songs, but you didn't like those either.
It's just one of those things where you're on tour for a couple months. Not every day is a happy day.
Now they're throwing shit, Jimmy. Just like the old days. All right? You want to break something first and just let it out? Just let it go.
Fucking Newman fucked something up too.
Yeah,
there's a switch he's supposed to switch on the amp, a plus minus switch. I go over, I'm like in the middle of the fucking United States solo. I'm playing the solo. It's like all fucked up. I look at him, he's like, does one of these. I walk over on something, I go, what's the setting on? It's 2 nights in a row. I mean, it's a fucking $700,000 fucking shoot.
Right.
It's like, these guys gotta be on their fucking A. We certainly need.
Yeah, somebody's gotta do it right.
You know what I mean?
We were once the Smashing Pumpkins. I don't know what we are now.
Holy fuck, that was awesome. Totally exploded too. Where did Jeffrey go?
He ran upstairs.
Go get him. Somebody get him. He's got to play, man. He's a pro.
It's just, I think I've just pushed the band too far, too fast.
You all right?
No, I'm not fucking up.
Doomsday Heavy Metal Machine.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
My tendency is always to push everything to its absolute breaking point, and I think I've sort of achieved that.
Where's that pizza?
Thank you very much. We're very sorry.
gonna. It's not your fault. I mean, it's just gear. I'm mad at Jay. You didn't do anything wrong. You're not mad at me, are you? You're mad at me? What? What'd I do? Hey, man. God's just putting a tension in the air and electricity for us to fucking go into a deeper place.
How do you turn a bunch of hired guns into a band? Billy and Jimmy made this into Smashing Pumpkins in a matter of weeks. It's kind of like what they do in the armed forces. You put them through boot camp. To make themselves into rock and roll soldiers, they had to break Jeff. And I think at that moment, Jeff no longer was thinking of Billy as his boss. He was playing like a bandmate would.
Now, we thank you very much. You humble us with your kindness. You're giving us the love that we aren't able to give ourselves. We don't love ourselves right now. We're turning to the big man in the sky asking for some forgiveness for our rock and roll transgressions.
I thought about, instead of introing with the solo, intro with the song, then bringing the other song, and then have the solo middle, and then the band comes in, and then go back to the other song.
Little turns of words, so it's, you know what I mean? On the surface it sounds like I used to know you or whatever, it's like, but you look for like the little things, so it's like, you try like little corners. If you try to make it wordy, it destroys the sort of meditative quality.
You know, when you're watching a fight and it looks like the guy's going to lose and somehow he finds that other thing within him and comes back to win the fight. There's been this great repetition within the groups where we get kind of hopeless, I get kind of lost, and then somehow a song appears that seems to sort of say, all that doesn't matter, and here's what's meant to happen.
Everybody, once the music starts, please keep it as quiet as possible. Please.
I jumped from the top and fell right back, and I hit the ground running, scared. I swam to the bottom of the sea, and I asked around for someone who might know me. Ain't it sad when your choices are Vegas and your friends? 99 floors and still nowhere to go. 99 floors and still nowhere to roll. I punched in the head, I passed right out, and if the just stood down, struck and stabbed. Oh, my through fist of fate, I prayed for his resurrection home. Ain't it sad when your choices are vices or advice? It's 11 o'clock and don't that make you pause? It's 11 o'clock and don't it make you pause? Feeling oh so low. I'm slow to anger, wonder where I could ever go.
And suddenly 99 Floors brought the entire experience together and seemed to just blur out the Fillmore experience. We went into this other space, being able to go to the deeper form of the argument, which is beauty trumps all, love trumps all, truth trumps all. Of course, what's funny is the best songs that I wrote really came out of the experience of having to deal with the opposition and the disappointment, and my greater disappointment in what's going on in American culture.
Everything he does is almost like he's trying to make flowers grow out of cracks in the pavement. I think Billy will always function best from a place of having to prove himself to a world that he doesn't fit into and maybe in some ways doesn't deserve him.
Somebody got confused, but it's probably me, but I think Ginger was right. I thought that was pretty good, a little looser, but had a little more personality.
I got some.
I want you to record the same way cassette. I want to remember it for posterity. It's a new idea, so as soon as I sat down, it came out.
You know you do something right when you're able to take a difficult set of factors and distill them down to a simple point of revelation. And for me, the Rose March takes everything that I'd gone through over the past 4 or 5 weeks of this experience and simplifies them into a really simple message, which is, yes, I'm crooked, and yes, I'm wrong, but it's really simple. I'm going to keep telling you how great you are until I am blue in the face.
That thing from last night that I was playing on the piano.
I really see the song as sort of an elegy. I go out of my way to basically point out everything that's wrong with me.
I like to play you a new song that I just wrote this morning, if that's all right.
Now I was just thinking today, as I was writing this song, because I've been writing a lot of songs lately,
You know, I'm eternally optimistic. You know, the next one's going to be the great one, or the next one after that's going to be the great one.
You know, to get to think, hey, maybe this is one of the great ones. We, as the fans, have the experience to sit there and say, we were there the very first time that he played that live.
As I was writing this song, I was thinking, oh, this is a nice song. You know? But does it make any difference?
And, you know, they may not know where they're going, but they're soldiering on. You know, whether or not it's significant doesn't really matter. It's just the journey that matters.
Universes full of black holes and charred souls. A little longer to go. We've a little longer. A little longer to go. We've a little longer. A little longer to go. I just can't help say so. I just can't help say so.
At some point, I'm 40 years old. As a man, you have to sort of state your intention, right? You have to find the zen in the moment, okay? And here's the zen of this particular moment. The zen of this particular moment is that this is a new band. And everything we're trying to do is to take this thing forward, not to go backwards.
The thing is will the songs endure, you know? Do they have life beyond the bubble that we're in?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it would go good.
Still hot.
Ready to go do that?
I feel like we're not going to play a great show if we don't go for it. You know what I mean? Like, we got to go. We got to fucking be aggressive and just take those chances. This is the kind of energy that Gossamer is designed for. You know what I mean?
was talking to a very famous rock musician in London. He's a really good friend of mine. He came up to me at the end of the London show and he said, what was that thing you guys did at the end? He was talking about Gossamer. And I said, it's just something we make up every night. We never know. And he looked at me like I just told him that I killed his grandparents or something. That he's completely eliminated that train of thought from his life. Now that's a sad death of music right there.
It may seem nihilistic, it may seem self-indulgent, it may seem crazy, it may seem silly, it may seem to be coloring way outside the lines, but we feel that's what we're being asked to do, that there is a purpose for that, and that it goes beyond record sales and it goes beyond whether or not somebody fucking gets it.
I mean, he comes from a time and a mind space. It's sort of like, Pete Townsend, who's this sort of driven genius who he really has to be the driving force of anything he does because he is a visionary talent.
Particularly this project, it seems like the kind of thing probably that only Billy could have done. I certainly wouldn't have tried it. Not again, I think when I did it in 1971, I think it nearly killed me. It nearly killed me. It's interesting to feel that, that Billy's doing a time when Smashing Pumpkins have enjoyed a revival, a return, and are out there working, and everybody's really happy that they're back. Fuck, I kind of wish I'd been there.
I'm fascinated by the idea that one can find sublime moments in life even offset against the worst atrocities. If you think of the Victorian era, it was very dirty, and yet people were very invested in looking good and a certain dandyism, and it was probably one of the dirtiest times on earth. We're in a particular space in American culture where we're in a continual form of denial, delusion, and atrocity. The worst crime is the crime that we perpetrate on ourselves, where we allow ourselves to be assailed by lies, media lies, things that aren't true. We're eating foods that are horrible for us, and our country's built on some sort of one massive lie about what we think we are, and yet what we really are is so much more fantastic than the lie that we believe. And I'm always sort of shocked by that, because America does really stand for a level of freedom. And I think what's really difficult is, as just a person on this planet, how do you close the door at this point? That's what strikes me, is just trying to get that beautiful, soft space. What we're really here to do is find the heart of the matter. When all the reviews are gone, and when all the fans are gone, and when all the t-shirts are thrown away, and all the CDs are forgotten about, the one thing that will remain is the echo of the beauty that can be created in moments like this. There are those stories that I've heard where, at the worst show we ever played in God knows where, somebody in the back of the room didn't jump off a roof because of something I said or something we did or some song that we played on that particular night. You get those confirmations of faith. And so this is my way of saying, I know what my faith is, and you're not going to knock me off my block.
I appreciate the love, but I do not love you. I do not have the energy for the commitment that you need from me. I know you need a lot, you're very needy, that's true. I don't have the time or the energy to give you what you need. Sure. I'm just being honest with you. I don't want to give you any false promises of hope. I love you in sort of a leave me alone kind of way. No, I love you even when you stink. I love you when you don't return my calls. I love you when you don't buy my records. I love you when you go through my garbage. I love you when you send me freaky, creepy emails. I love you when you, yeah. I would now like to play you a song about my lack of commitment to you. What you've left behind, but aren't you tired? But then again, I'm wired for speed. If all goes wrong, if all goes wrong, if all goes wrong with me, will you leave? I don't mind who you've left this time. What transpires between crash and choirs is need. If all goes wrong, if all goes wrong, if all goes wrong with me, what will you leave? Save yourself, for you saw someone else for keeps. Save what's left, for you save what's kept. Nothing's free if all goes wrong, if all goes wrong, if all goes wrong with me, if all goes wrong, if all goes wrong, if all goes wrong with me. Will you leave?
relationship.
Your past influence your writing?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Our generation, Generation X in the 90s, was really the first generation to publicly musically tackle child abuse.
Yeah.
When Billy started talking about having been abused, he was one of the first rock stars to come out and talk about it, and a magazine accused him of doing that to sell records. It was such a cruel, unbelievable twisting. I think what Billy always does is he creates the archetype and then he breaks it because the archetype is always changing. And he reserves the right to always change and grow and not be held. Zero, right? You can't capture zero. He was the archetype of the big, powerful rock star that everybody wanted to own in some way, fuck, possess. And he's talking about being a child.
I used to be a little boy, so in my shoes, when I chose.
Whether it started at a young age of feeling that, I wasn't safe anywhere, to a public life where I feel constantly assailed and assaulted and misunderstood. It's this idea of trying to just get that space, just enough space that you can create. What strikes me about the songs that I wrote in Asheville particularly is I think I found that space.
All righty, God bless you.
Yeah, but you need folks.
There's a funny line in the song where I sing, "The band won't play your favorite tune," which is a direct allusion to people being disappointed as they've seen the kind of sets that we're playing, that we're not playing God knows what off of God knows what album.
The tension exists because you have an audience saying, oh, it's the first time I've seen you in 7 or 10 or 12 years, and I really want to see you play this song.
I want to hear Zero, 33.
Everlasting Gaze. Airplane Flies High.
Martha. Drowned.
Mayonnaise. Bleeding the Orchid.
1979.
Daydream.
Well, something's got to give. I've got to make room somewhere. We're playing 3-hour shows almost every night.
People kind of go, not just that's me, but that this Pumpkin song that is where I am. This is one of the places that I can feel that I'm complete. Whip Pan 10 years ahead, they don't need that machinery anymore, but they still value it. They don't want the Smashing Pumpkins to be anything else other than they were. And they don't care about the artistic needs of the musicians. And we're dreadfully hurt by it as artists when our fans say, we just don't want you to change, we don't want you to do anything new, we just want you to... Because they can find somebody else to deal with their troubles of the moment. And it's very, very difficult as an artist.
The Orange Peel here is a very special venue. It's known for people that aren't really mainstream, but famous people nonetheless. It's a lot of independent bands come here, but a lot of the really big mainstream bands don't come here because the capacity is so small.
Translucent.
We've never had anybody at the Peel do as long of a residency as they did. They played 9 nights.
By Billy coming here, it has really brought a lot of national attention to the Orange Peel and to Asheville.
The main idea of doing the band again is to do it art for art's sake, and I think that's where the residencies come in. I think there's no better way than putting it out, putting it on the table that you're going to be in a certain place for a certain amount of time in order to evolve as an artist, and inviting people to observe that.
I hear my How's everybody doing? You all right? Ladies and gentlemen, we are proud to be your band for the apocalypse. Yeah, I was here for about 1 minute yesterday and some guy offered me some weed. I said, "No, brother, I don't smoke." He said, brother, Asheville's built on a crystal, man. You just... As some of you know, one of the purposes that we wanted to do these shows was to take the opportunity to write some new songs. So I wrote a song this morning I'd like to play for you, if you'll indulge me again.
Question Mark is a song is sort of like an open letter to the Asheville community. Sort of like my way of saying, okay, here we are in town and what are we doing here? Because I wasn't even sure.
What is the question posed? Where is this violence I sense creeping? What is your secret code? I wanna know.
But when we got to Asheville, it was kind of like being in just a surreal world. Everyone was so kind, and I found him in the middle of the square, just sitting by himself. So we sat on the street and just watched the people come by. And as they would come by, they would talk to him and he would hand out tickets.
It's a song I sing. I pull in the town, smoke rings around the square. I tarry the ground, feathers and flames shall explode. But now we're getting close to an answer to my questions, to my small notion of Rome.
Yum. Yum. I don't know what you saw in that moment, but
That's the Korean squat right there.
That's totally Korean squat.
and that's actually the best way to sit. That's the way you're supposed to sit. That's the proper way that you don't stress your spine. And that's also the proper way you're supposed to go to the bathroom. Holy God, no. That's not me, is it? Come on up. Jeff, I told you it was gonna get weird, man.
Oh my God. Hey. Oh, can I set this down?
Sure.
Okay, it's really heavy. Oh, really? Can I get a hug?
Sure, yeah. Gentle.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
How are you doing?
Good.
I am so proud of you guys getting back together.
Oh, thanks.
And
there's more important things, but I appreciate it.
No,
It's a good thing.
It's like when my friend died, you know, and I found his body a couple months ago.
Just this whole year has been really crazy.
All I could think was like, thank God they're getting back together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
And it was
It gave you something at least.
It gave me something to hold on to.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that like pulled me through everything.
Well, better that than nothing.
I mean, of course, it's not as beautiful as you are, but I mean, come on.
Look at the side.
That's pretty good. The side's pretty good.
The side is my
Look at
favorite.
your beautiful cheekbones, see?
So we're all right in there now? Here, I gotta go work.
Oh, Thank you so much, Lily. When you do meet your hero and they take a little time with you, it makes you feel validated.
On December 2nd, 2000, the Smashing Pumpkins played their final show in their hometown of Chicago, Illinois. For 4.5 hours, an intimate crowd watched the apparent conclusion of an epic 14-year journey played out in lives, loves, drama, and song. After 6.5 years of dormancy, they would return to the stage on May 22nd, 2007 in Paris, France. With much speculation as to when they would return to America, they curiously announced they would perform 9 shows at a little-known club in Asheville, North Carolina, and 11 shows at the historic Fillmore Auditorium in San Francisco, California. Tickets sold out immediately. What those who bought the tickets didn't know was what to expect.
I'm obsessed with the concept that just as I'm about to get out of hell, I always seem to find a way back in. And there is a bit of that feeling about getting back into the band that I'm sort of re-signing onto the Army for a set of experiences that I know I don't want.
I don't know if he really picked Asheville or if Asheville picked him, because he's about chance. But I remember driving down that road. It was dark and we were tired and we had had such a whirlwind of a trip in Europe. When you got there, you just got a big southern welcome.
I was really fascinated that you had this hippie community connected to what was once the great Biltmore Estate, one of the great mansions in the world, and certainly the greatest mansion in America. We were staying on the Biltmore Estate itself. Every day we would take this drive to go to rehearsal or to go to the gig. We'd drive through the beautiful grounds of the estate, and every day I would sort of marvel at the way Olmsted had massaged the earth. My therapist once told me that people who are very abused, especially at a young age, never learn about the concept of boundaries because you don't learn those cues as a child to scream or cry. It takes you a much longer time to understand when people are in your space.
Mama, you're on my mind. A stitch inside my coat. I lay on the woods, grand design. You're sure that you're sure, but butterflies don't get old, and I don't get so young anymore. Such a shame. And big ideas and lost ideas is a show. I must sing.
The image in my mind when I wrote Mama was kind of thinking about Nazi Germany and what it would have been like to try to have a romantic evening in with the missus while they were burning books outside.
Mama, they're showing up, they're burning books outside. What was it that you said?
I see this song as sort of this constant yearning I have for simpler times, but it's contrasted with the idea of this ominous threat just outside the door. That seems to be a recurring theme with me, not able to keep out, away from me, what I don't want near me.
My ears to the ground and my fingers on the pulse of a pain. But once was then changed.
Let's go over there. Do we look like Americans, Gio?
Hello. Hi. How y'all doing?
Good. We're just checking out what you guys are doing over here.
Yes, sir. Well, welcome. I'm Pastor McLaren.
Hi, Pastor. Billy Corky.
Billy, nice to meet you.
We're with the band across the street. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I heard y'all been having some great crowds.
It's going great, yeah.
What's the name of the band again?
Smashing Pumpkins, yeah.
Okay. Well, would you mind me asking you how you stand as far as your religious beliefs? Or you...
I was raised a Christian, but I have not found the church structure to be something that I feel comfortable in.
I understand
So
that.
it's a personal